Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Yalai la 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 yalai la 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 yalai la 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 yalai la 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 yalai la 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 yalai yalai la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's hear everybody. Yalai, 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 la la, yalai, yalai, la la, yalai, yalai, la la, la. Lie like you mean it. Yalai, la la, la la, la, yalai, yalai, la la, la, yalai, yalai, la la, la. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la.
So we want to welcome everyone. Welcome back some people who have been traveling, including Rick and Addie, who just got back in the last few days from a great trip to Italy. And a lot of people have been traveling and doing things over the last few weeks. And we're starting to look ahead into August to some of the things that we've got coming up as our synagogue starts kind of coming back into well, at least the time before the high holidays and coming back for school and all those kind of great things. So it's really great to have everybody here. And again, some people just returned from camp, from summer camp too. So lots of good stuff going on. And we mentioned at the last Shabbat service some of the stuff that we've got coming up and looking forward to with travels, including, as I mentioned, last Friday for the first time I announced we're going to have another birthright trip coming up in 2024. We've got some other stuff going on that we'll remind people towards the end of our celebration today. But it's great to have Rick and Addie back with us. Are you forever changed by your trip to Italy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I hope so. So this was a big week for us because, as a community, because we actually had a holiday this week. It was the darkest day on the Jewish year, and Tisha B'Av, which does not necessarily have to do with the Shoah. And everyone says, why is Holocaust Remembrance Day another dark day? Well, actually, Menachem Begin, when he was prime minister, wanted to combine it and have it as one day, but it was decided not to, and that Tisha B'Av would continue to kind of remember the national catastrophes that Israel dealt with. But there were other terrible things that happened on Tisha B'Av, including some of the actions, one of the probably most notable in the pogroms and the darkness of Jewish history over the last 2,000 years, was that the Jews were formally expelled from Spain on that day in 1492 on Tisha B'Av. And that, of course, the next day was the day that Columbus set sail for the United States, not knowing he was going to the United States, but eventually hit our hemisphere. And people say it's not a coincidence because you're not supposed to start new projects. Tisha B'Av is not quite a holiday where you can't work, but you're not supposed to, by tradition, do fun things, or you're not supposed to start new projects. It's considered an inauspicious day. So some people think that Columbus waited an extra day in order not to do that on Tisha B'Av, because almost his entire crew If not, he himself was a member of the Nuevo Cristianos, the new Christians that had been forcibly or definitely under duress become Catholic. So we don't know for sure, but again, it's part of the history of Italy. It's a part of the history of Spain, and it's part of our history. But during this time now is the time when we start to look ahead and we start to look forward in hope to the high holidays, which are about 7 weeks from now. So as we go forward now into the summer and into these last weeks of this year, before the new year, hopefully we'll have a lot of good things. We're going to try to do everything we can to keep positive and keep doing good stuff. And again, we'll mention some of those coming up, a long list of stuff. But it's great to have everybody here to celebrate this Shabbat, which we call Shabbat Nachamu, a Shabbat of comfort, a Shabbat of feeling a sense of return and closeness again after Tisha B'Av. So in that spirit tonight, as Rick and Addie get us into the mood for Shabbat and to bring everybody together, this is a wonderful Shabbat for us also to think about. And we have some people who haven't been here in a long time. And tonight we have a special Oneg celebrating Jeff and Joyce Stein, and they are here tonight. And in addition to Jeff and Joyce, we have several people who were formerly president of Temple Beth Me too, as I look around, and a lot of people who've been an important part of our congregation over the years. So we hope you all participate and have a chance to celebrate Shabbat with us, and all the people who are watching us online too. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rick and Addie.
So a song about light to come out of this day of darkness that we experience together. This is a really easy melody. All you have to do is repeat, which means you don't need to know anything. You just have to, when I first heard it, it's when you have a repeat song, it's like you already know the song the first time you hear it. And those are among my favorite songs. And the mood of this song, I think, it helped me with that. So after me, we go, Or Zarua,
Or Zarua,
La Tzadik,
La Tzadik,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha,
Or Zarua,
Or Zarua,
La Tzadik,
La Tzadik,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha.
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha.
Light is sown when you're righteous.
Light is sown when you're righteous,
And joy when you're upright at heart.
and joy when you're upright at heart.
Light is sown when you're righteous.
Light is sown when you're righteous,
And joy when you're upright at heart.
and joy when you're upright at heart.
Or Zarua,
Or Zarua,
La Tzadik,
La Tzadik,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha.
Or Zarua,
Or Zarua,
La Tzadik,
La Tzadik,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha,
Uyeshrei Lev Simcha.
Light is sown when you're righteous.
Light is sown when you're righteous,
And joy when you're upright at heart.
and joy when you're upright at heart.
Light is sown when you're righteous.
Light is sown when you're righteous,
And joy when you're upright at heart.
and joy when you're upright at heart.
Or Zarua,
Or Zarua,
La Tzadik,
La Tzadik, Ati.
Uyeshrei lev simcha.
Uyeshrei lev simcha.
Also from Shabbat liturgy, the Hebrew in this song, "Those Who Sow," comes from, I don't know if you ever went to camp, and there's a really long prayer called Birkat Hamazon, which you sing after a meal. Technically, it's not from camp, it's just from Judaism. But for the most part, people only do it when they go to camp at our level of Judaism. But one of the lines in there, in a section that you only sing on Shabbat, is the paragraph Shir Hamalot, Song of Ascents, which our tradition tells us we would say when we would walk up the steps to go into the temple, back when there was just one temple. And one of the lines in that paragraph is, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Hazorim, Bedima, Barina, Yiksoru." The song is by Debbie Friedman of blessed memory. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru, Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru, Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru. Those who sow in tears
will reap in joy,
will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Page 3 of your Sidurim. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vo'echem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Kadosh Baruch Hu.
So we're going to light our Shabbat candles now, and some of you saw I lit this middle candle here. There was nothing mystical or traditional or a new custom that was about that. Though maybe it will come, because I did it just as you did the song for Or Zarua. So that was a perfect timing for that. But no, this actually is because these candles do not work very well. It has nothing to do other than these are flimsy candles. And you can see as they're going out right now. But last week it took us about 10 minutes to get the Shabbat candles lit, and it was very embarrassing. It was a bar mitzvah, and it's not just it's somewhat of that, but it's also just really bad wicks. And so we're going to light the Shabbat candles now, and we're going to have Joyce come up, and Jeff, please come up to light our candles. This is a celebration for them this weekend. We're celebrating in their honor and in thanks for them. But Joyce is very well prepared, because as a scout leader for a very long time, I'm sure she'd figure out a way to keep the candle lit. And she'd figure out some way to MacGyver it. She'd MacGyver it. But come up.
This is how traditions
start.
500 years from now,
I know.
it's like, well,
It's a
for
middle
hundreds
candle.
of years, we've always had a third candle.
I know. I realize
Part of
that.
Judaism now. The rabbis said,
I realize that that's the thing that's going to become the determinant. No. So, but I want Joyce. Why don't you explain what this Shabbos, why this is something that was important for you to sponsor the Oneg for?
So this month is a big month for us. 20 years ago today, 20 years ago on the 3rd of July, Jeff underwent bladder cancer surgery for bladder cancer. The surgery was a year out of clinical trials, and he was considered the perfect candidate for it because he was young, he didn't have anything else going on, it was just bladder cancer. So they loved
It's just bladder. That's what I said. It's just bladder.
I know. Exactly. Fast forward through that year, it was, just to know that we had to deal with this and that we were doing this, it was hard enough as a family. Our son, 20 years ago, was 14. And it's the summer, and we're kind of like a little verklempt. There's a lot going on. And I got a call from Karen Bloom. And I'm going to cry. But I remember that call because you said, what can we do to help? We'd only been in the synagogue not even a full year. And what can we do? And I said, well, I really need help getting David from swim camp back home, and from home to swim camp. Because this way I could stay at USC, which is where the surgery was going to be. And she said, I got this. And I don't know how she did it, but she put a call out or an email out or whatever, and I get a call from the Sodakoffs, old members from here, and they said, here's our son for the summer. They had all girls. And they said, he's our son for the summer. We will take him. You don't have to worry. We'll take him wherever he needs to go. So I brought him to swim camp that morning, and he said, who are these people? And I said, I don't know. Bad mom, right? And he said, how will I know them? I said, they're the Sodakoffs. Good questions for my son, right? And I said, they're fabulous people. They're in our synagogue. You have to have faith, right? And sure enough, they pick him up, and he gets off with them, and everything is fine. It's fabulous. And they do this all summer. And not only when we come back home, but they continue to do it all through the summer. And our congregation, when we did get back, it was it was a 10-hour surgery. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks. They did a meal train that we weren't normally doing at that time, but they set it up. People came, and they were fabulous, and brought meals. And every time we were able, when he was well enough to come, because he went through chemo for the rest of the year, And so when he was well enough to come, he would come here. Everybody would pray for him. It was amazing. Everybody was so thoughtful and so sweet. So it's our thank you, 20 years. And we know that many people don't make it. We feel blessed that he did. And so we want to thank our congregation, the new and our old friends. You guys helped us get through that. So, and Tracy too.
Well, Karen and Lee, they're here tonight.
I know.
And so that's very cool because they don't live in the area.
They don't.
But they're here tonight. And the great thing about that guy is that young guy who was taking swim classes ended up serving in the Navy.
Yes, he did.
So that was part of his Navy training. In a way. He was in the Navy. So, and we're very grateful that you guys have been such leaders for our synagogue. You've both served on the board. Joyce has served as our president, is now serving as our president once again. So again, they've given a lot back too. So we'll light the Shabbat candles tonight, and you'll see Mitch blowing the shofar because they confirm. I'm going to see him next week, but he's going to be blowing the shofar again for us this year. So he's also out of the area, but he hasn't forgotten where he's from.
He has not forgotten.
So on page 5, you can find the blessing for lighting our Shabbat candles. So you may have to hold it for a while because the wicks are really bad. So do the other one and then come back to it maybe. No, leave it further just in case. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
Let there be joy.
Let there be peace.
Let there be light.
Let there be Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You're also celebrating 45 years.
44 years of it. Ready?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but I guess that's also something very important. It's their anniversary time. So thank you guys. And we'll take a moment here. And on page 5, you can find the blessings that we say for our families. We think about our families and the generations, the blessing through the generations for boys and for men in our family. We say, Yesimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chi Menashe. And for the girls, for the women in our family, we say, Yesimech Elohim ke'Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. And for everyone, our blessing of protection and peace. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God's presence enlighten you and be gracious to you. And may God reach out to you in tenderness and give you peace. And if you want to whisper a special prayer or think a special thought for your family, for your circle of friends, everywhere. So on page 6, we're going to continue with Lecha Dodi, our song of welcoming the Shabbat bride.
Yalla la 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 lecha dodi, yalla la 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 likrat kala, yalla la 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 penei Shabbat nekabe, yalla la 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 lecha dodi, yalla la 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 likrat kala, yalla la 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 penei Shabbat nekabe la. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad ki ishmianu el hamilchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem el tiferet v'litchilah. Ya la 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 lecha dodi, Yalla la 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 likrat kala. Yalla la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet. Yalla la 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 lechadodim. Yalla la 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 likrat kala. Yalla la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh v'makshava techila. Ya la la, ya la 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 lechadodim. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet. Ya la 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 lechadodim. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha, uv'zola, toch emuneh, am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Ya la la, ya la 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 lechadodim. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet. Ya la 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 lechadodim. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekavet.
We remain standing, but we turn now to page 7 for going to bring on the evening with the Baruch Hu on page 7.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai.
And again, as we think about this evening and coming to the end of the month of July and moving to the next part of summer, maybe the final part of summer, if you will, as we go through the month of Av, we give thanks for this evening, for the transition, for the seasons, for the transition from day to night, and then from night to day. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. And as we continue with a prayer for love, on page 8, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochvecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'yitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
It's interesting because this week in our Wednesday night classes, we go through the book of Deuteronomy, which we just started. We come to this section of the Shema Ve'ahavta that we just read, and we had a chance to read it, and we had a chance to study it and think about it in the context of Deuteronomy. And so if you have a chance to be with us on Wednesdays, or again, the classes are also posted on to, they're streaming on Facebook, but they're also, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. It's amazing because Deuteronomy says these words, Shema, Hayom. It says, teach them to your children. It talks about so many of the ideas that we have just in this. Few verses, but what's so powerful about these verses, which come from this week's portion, we actually, as it turns out, are caught up to where we are in the Bible, but soon everything's going to pass us by because we're reading Deuteronomy a little bit slower over these next few weeks. The words of Deuteronomy are so powerful because here they're all kind of brought together in the Shema and Ve'ahavta. And that's why, again, it's become kind of the watchword of our faith, the lines that kind of summarize our connection. But in reality, these words go throughout the book of Deuteronomy, which is a really amazing book of the Bible. It's a stream of consciousness, if you will. It's Moses' final message. It's Moses' perspective, his version of the events from Exodus through Numbers. And it really does give us a sense of kind of what our theology and what our values are, as none of the other 5 books really do. It really kind of gives us an understanding of why we do the things that we do and what our goals are and what our values and principles are. And what they've been for thousands of years. So again, if you have a chance to be with us for Deuteronomy, please join us. And we're turning back now to words from Exodus, from Mi Chamocha, from our Song of the Sea, from Shirat Hayam, one of the pinnacles of our experience too, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osef eleh. Nora tehilot, osef eleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osef eleh. Nora tehilot, osef eleh. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. I don't think Mi Chamocha is legitimate until we're all singing that like pirates. Come on, people, let's do this. Yai-dai, yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai. More pirate, yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai. Just your voices. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yada-dai-dai, yai-dai-da-da-dai-dai. We did it, people. Page number 12. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam, berit olam vishameru ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. Let's hear your voices. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. Last time. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. May your wonder be celebrated, may your name be consecrated, may your brilliance never fade from the magnificent world you made. May your ways prevail in our own days, in our own lives, and in the life of all Israel. And let us say, Amen. May your name receive the same beauty that you bring, though you are far beyond the sweetest songs we could ever sing. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
Kaddish, that's basically the translation of the Chatzi Kaddish in the words, V'nomar, amen, let us say amen. So the song before that's Dan Nichols' melody. Before that we sang Craig Taubman melody for Vishamru, which Rick does a lot of work with Craig Taubman. I actually spoke to him a couple of days ago. And I talked to Rick, actually, just now. But I talked to Craig Talman a couple of days ago. And one of the projects that Rick has worked on over the last few years is a wonderful project that comes out of Pico Union Project, which is the Jewels of Elul, which is a special set of kavanot, of intentions during the month of Elul, which as I mentioned, as we come out of Tisha B'Av, in about 3 weeks we begin the month of Elul. That whole 30-day period of Teshuvah during the month of, that's heightened during the month of Elul, adds in the 10 days of Tishrei, so it makes 40 days of repentance. So you get 30 days plus 10. Everybody thinks it's just the 10 days from Tishrei, but actually we get the whole month of Elul. And so Elul is going to be a time for us to think about that. So we're going to be sharing some of that. Some of the jewels of Elul this year include some kavanot from Mayim Bialik, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. Is there somebody who I'm thinking of that I should mention that you know, Rick, that's part of the jewels this year? I don't know. There's a poem or two from Rick Lupert, right?
Not in this year's collection.
Oh, okay. But there has been. As a matter of fact, I know this because the teaser, the trailer for Jewels of Elul is narrated by you. Your voice is on it. I know because I just saw it. Anyways, and it's more visual. It's not a picture of, it's not him talking, but it's him narrating, as I said. So, but it's it's a wonderful thing, and we'll share it on our TBA Facebook page too. So, as you see it, we're going to be broadcasting them on JLTV throughout the month of Elul, but we're also going to be sharing some. So again, they're ways to get us into the mood of return and repentance. So we're going to try to heighten that experience for everybody with some ways of doing that. So in addition to studying and doing our Torah studies and having our Shabbat services and celebrations over the next weeks, we're also going to share some kavanot, some daily inspirations, which again are heightened by our prayers, especially our next prayer, the Amidah. So we're going to enter into the Amidah, which begins on page 13. Page 13. We're going to ask everyone to rise with us. We're going to chant the first page out loud and then give everyone a chance to pray silently on 14 and 15 with our own private kavanot, our own private intentions tonight on Shabbos.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, u'mevi ge'ula livnei v'nehem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magin, baruch atah Adonai, magin Avraham be'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah, Rav leHoshia, Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha bal gevurot, umi domelach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol, baruch ata Adonai, mechaye hakol.
Awaken my soul to all its potential. A letter unique in an infinite scroll. Both a guest and a gift in this life I am living. May I be for a blessing as I come and I go. Come and I go. Awaken my heart. Awaken my heart to all its potential. A letter unique in an infinite scroll. Both a guest and a gift in this life I am living. May I be for a blessing as I come and I go. Come and I go. Awaken my life to all its potential. A letter unique in an infinite scroll. Both a guest and a gift in this life I am living. May I be for a blessing as I come and I go. 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 You guys remembered good from last month.
Do you need any introduction to what's about to happen now? I made it pretty dramatic. No. Well, I said a little bit about.
Is everyone wearing seatbelts?
No, I said a little bit about this week's Parsha, but I think this is a very special thing for this week's Parsha. So.
This poem that I'm going to read is for this week's Parsha. I want to know what page it's on. Wrote it a few years ago. And as you were talking earlier about the Parsha, I think you kind of covered some of the things that were in here. So this may not even be necessary for me to read it, but we will anyway. Va'et Hanan. This is the story Moses tells. In a last-ditch effort, he pleads with God, "Let me into the promised land." The response comes, "Go tell it to the mountain. Moses, you'll get a lovely view, but that's as far as we're taking this." It's a recent event, this conversation, but Moses is a reminiscer. I can't blame him. I get nostalgic about things that haven't happened yet. Have I already told you that? That's okay. I don't mean to make an excuse, but so much of this book is telling what has already been told. We're only in chapter 2, and it feels like a clip show. Are the writers on vacation? I remember always feeling cheated when a new episode came on, and it was just the regular players sitting on a couch flashing back to footage I'd already seen. Does this really count? Or do I need to hear this again? Do we all need to hear this again? Remember what happened with the idol. We have such a short memory, and those with the shortest memories aren't here anymore. Listen, Israel, God, who I've mentioned before, is your God, and you can count the number of gods we have on one finger. That's the most important thing we have to say, so it's being said again. That's the most important thing we have to say. So here's a list of instructions about what to do with these words. Got a door? Put it there. Got a forehead? Put it there. Hands? You guessed it. Gates, that should go without saying. Children, write in their heads. Please write this down so you don't forget it. Put it everywhere. You won't have Moses nagging you like a parent for very much longer. He's on his death speech. Soon he'll only be talking to a mountain. Soon he'll just be a rumor. This is the generation that knew God's presence, who were so scared of it they asked only Moses to interact with it. Now we only know stories of the mountain, of the man who died on the mountain, of a presence with a capital P we've been looking for ever since.
So that's what goes on in this portion, and again, throughout the book of Deuteronomy. So it's a wonderful reminder, thank you, for why Deuteronomy is so important, and it is very hard for us. I said it last week when we started, the week before, not this week, last week when we started it, and then this week again, 2 days ago, I reiterated. It's very hard to put down because there's no place to stop it. It's like a record that you have to pull up in the middle of a song. Well, people do listen to vinyl. Again, I was going to say that's an old image, but people do listen to. My kids have vinyl, but anyways, but it's like lifting it up because the song didn't end, the album didn't end, but you have to lift it up. So that's why Deuteronomy again is been said before, but it's not been said this way, and it's also a chance for us to think about our legacy and the way we tell stories and the way we recount the things that are important to us. So, along those lines and thinking about what our values are to this day, on page 15, one of the things that we always do when we come together as a community is we think about others and we think about how we can pray for their healing and how we can support each other. And again, in the beautiful story that was retold tonight in the Deuteronomy style, the story that Joyce shared of Jeff. And again, as you notice, Jeff didn't share that story, Joyce did, which is fine because Jeff is a man of few words. But Joyce's story version of that is maybe different than exactly the way Jeff would or the way I would or the other people or Karen or some of the other people who were here. We would have picked up different pieces of that story, but they're all important versions of it. And again, especially when we deal with illness and we deal with healing and the crises in our lives, we learn from them and we support each other. So on page 15, as we say Misha Barach, we ask you to share the names of the people that you're personally thinking of this Shabbat. So just raise your hand so we can acknowledge you and you can say those names out loud.
Our son Todd's having hernia repair on Monday.
Cliff DeMonte.
Susan Berger and Samuel Frankel.
Joyce Stein, Lee Hess, Judy Winniker.
Darren Shepard, Mike Schwartz, Mike Melinak. I know there's one more.
Another Mike? Or did somebody have any name?
Mike.
Oh, okay.
Jenny
Who?
Kogan.
All right.
Pam Loscom, Jenny Kogan. Jennifer Ivy and Vern Miller.
Joanne Shepard, Mike Schwartz, and Jennifer Quinn.
The members of the grief group here at Temple Beth.
Rita Rafat, Eileen Scott. On page 15, if you join with us for the Debbie Friedman melody version of Misha Barach.
Misha Barach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So tonight, as we continue on, I don't know that this is the only synagogue that will not be doing this, but we will not. I will not be giving my take on what happened in Israel in the last few days. I will not say anything about it. It's been talked about it a lot. People have asked if it affected our trip to Israel this last time. It didn't. I mean, I only can tell you that people who were there with us would say that, but I will say this. I will only say this, that those in America who are condemning what's going on with the judicial system in Israel, and again, there's some real problems there, be very careful to throw the first stone, because if you've lived in this country for any length of time, especially over the last 3 years, we don't have it quite right here either. So be a little careful and think about it. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make either thing right. But just remember, it's not like we should be giving lectures right now on how our judicial system works and how the checks and balances in our country work. So think about it. That's it. I mean, that's all I got to say. And I don't have an answer anyway. So even if I could ruminate and talk about it a lot, I couldn't give you any extra stuff than other things that you've probably already heard. Now, I do want to say, again, it doesn't mean we don't try to do better and try to envision what it should be like and what it would be like here and in Israel and around the world. On page 35, we're going to continue with Aleinu, which is one of those prayers. The idea that at one point, at some point, maybe way in the future, but maybe next week, we'll all be together as one. On page 35, Aleinu, we rise together.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
Please be seated, everyone. So we turn to page 36 for the Kaddish of Remembrance, Mourner's Kaddish. We remember the yard sites, the losses at this time of year. Harvey Stolnitz, Melvin Bernstein, Jacqueline Dermer, Sarah Hoodkin, Annette Cattell, Haskell Silver, Cy Amonton, Erwin Cohen, Donna Caswan, Ed Reef, Adam Renson, Sabrina Brill, Louise Goldstein, Abe Nudell, Clara Gorecki, Pearl Richter, Seymour Kubernick, Nell Murphy, Gloria Tabak, Alan Carr, Florence Omens, Anna Friedberg, Sam Levine, and Beatrice Winokur. And we marked the first yard site, the loss this time last year of Barbara Hopkins. And over this last Shana, over this last year, we remember Matthew Himlin, Anita Locker, Mina Hirsch, Harriet Lipschitz, Sherwin Golden, Debbie Schulman, Marvin Jubis, Jerry Weiss, Beverly Mandelblatt, Joyce Sakertoff, George Tabak, Mary Lou Block, Gloria Wasserman, and Shirley Schwartzman. If there are people that you're personally remembering now whose names we haven't said, we ask you to say them before we say Mourner's Kaddish.
Dennis Feinberg. My sister Maxine Levinson. Sydney Silver.
Very Dominican.
Benjamin Schwartz.
As we remember the victims of war and the victims of terror over this last year as well, we rise on page 36 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbi, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbi mevarach le'olam u'olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitramam v'yitnosei, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Osei shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, amen, amen. Please be seated, everyone. So, thinking about saying Kaddish and remembering people and honoring them and dealing with our feelings of loss and grief, it's a good time to remind people too, and she's here tonight. The facilitator and leader of our grief support group, Dr. Joyce, is here tonight. And Joyce Schulman has been running this group for the last couple years, and it's been a wonderful addition to our community. We have a lot of people who are coming here who are not Jewish, who are not part of the community, who are living in other parts of Antelope Valley, other parts of Southern California, who are coming in once a week every Tuesday for that group, which Joyce is it's very special, right?
Very special.
So if you come by here, if you haven't been here before, we're starting at 4, and you can come here at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoons. You don't need to RSVP or let anybody know. And there's an email blast that goes out to all of the people who are part of that group. And it's very special. So thank you, Joyce, for doing that. This is it's the second anniversary, July, right? We started in July, and it's been a wonderful addition to our community over the last couple of years. So thank you so much, Joyce, for doing that and for helping our community. And helping, again, not just when I say our community, I mean people who are in a big radius of a lot of miles coming out for that. So thank you. And we have a lot of stuff, as I mentioned, coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have stuff that's social stuff. There's stuff that's more educational, but also fun. But there's a lot of things coming up. And one of the things that we've got going on this weekend is we're doing a visit as a group, but you don't have to go with us on Sunday. You can go other times as well. But it's a very limited engagement of Fiddler on the Roof, which is going on at the Performing Arts Center. And we want to, if you can come with us for the matinee at 2 o'clock on Sunday, you can come with us for that. But it's also going on next weekend too. And then it's wrapping up soon. So, as I mentioned before, Reverend Andy from Valencia United Methodist, they're hosting us for High Holidays again this year. He is Tevye. So they have a Methodist minister who is he's gotten very, very deep into this. He's got a beard. He's grown a beard out and everything. So I think his church thinks he's gone rogue. He's gone, yeah, and I've been helping him a little bit. But he doesn't need my help. He's a parent. He's been married roughly, we were saying, about as long as Tevye is around at that time. But he's really, really, from what I understand, I haven't seen him yet in the performance, but people who've gone have said it's very good, and we definitely want to support our local theater. So if you can't go with us on Sunday, please try to go. And Reverend Andy will be with us for High Holidays because he runs the board, the sound board. He actually sits there throughout the services, and he enjoys them. So I spoke at the church a couple weeks ago. We have a great relationship with the people at Valencia United Methodist, and so we have some of our B'nai Mitzvah, some of the kids who grew up in our synagogue are part of the production. So please try to support that. So the other thing I want to say along the lines of theater and social stuff, we just today finalized our night that we're going to see Golda. So Golda is going to be at the Lemley starting August 23rd. Now, they wanted us to do the 25th, and I told Greg Lemley, I said, that's Shabbos. I'm not going Friday night to the movie. As he has the sign in the Lemley, I don't roll on Shabbos from Big Lebowski, so he should know that. Now, it's his picture, and I'm so glad it's there, by the way, the I don't roll on Shabbos art piece. But we're going to do it on the 23rd. Now, I know actually that's Wednesday night, so we're not going to have our class. I'm sorry for the Wednesday night people. We're not going to have Wednesday night that night. But the reason we're going to Golda that night is there's actually a special presentation, an interview with Helen Mirren that's being streamed that night, and it's only that night. So it's only on the 23rd. It's Fathom Events is doing it. So we're going to post up the link. Probably tomorrow after Shabbos, we'll post up the link for Golda. So we just finalized that today, and we want to thank Greg for kind of getting us a first chance at that. It's not going to be just for us, so other people can find out about it. So if you want to go, I recommend going on quick, because I think there's only 100 seats in that theater. So that's Golda on the 23rd. Which is actually not that far away. So it's a month away. So or a month from Wednesday. So 4 weeks. So we will we'll be doing that, and along those lines come some of the stuff in the community that we're doing. We're still working. We're trying to finalize a date for the Auschwitz exhibit before it leaves the Reagan Library. We're still trying to come up with a date that will work for most people. For that, we'll have to bring about 20 people in order to get the group rate for that. But we're trying to make sure we finalize a date for that. And the other thing that we're doing in the community that we do know the date for, it won't be at another thing that won't be at Beth Ami, but we always want to promote and make sure people come to, is our Beach Havdalah, which will be August 19th in Ventura. So Sharon, who has not been to the Beach Havdalah before, asks if you have to get there at 3 o'clock. That's what time people start to get there at. People get there over the next 5 hours. So just don't get there after 8 o'clock, because then they lock the gate and you can't get in or out. So we have to finish by sundown. And that is something we do at Marina Park down in Ventura. On the 19th will be our Beach Havdalah. So that's another event that we do out of here. But one event that we're doing here the following week is our open house which we're going to be doing on the 27th, and it's we're working on it. The decision was to have an ice cream. It's an ice cream social was the event. So that's going to be an ice cream bar, Sunday bar set up, and we're working on the logistics to make sure the ice cream doesn't melt, but we're going to make sure that we provide that and some other options for those who are lactose intolerant. We'll be setting up for that open house, and it's going to be between 2 and 4 on that Sunday, the 27th, right? 1 and 4. Okay, there you go. 1 and 4. So that will be the 27th. So those are all events. A lot of stuff coming up in August. A lot of things that are both inside this space and outside. And again, of course, we'll have Tuesday morning classes. We'll have Wednesday classes, except for that night of the 23rd. We'll be here in person. And 9 o'clock Tuesday morning and 7 p.m. Wednesdays online or in person. And we also want to remind people that next Friday we'll have services led by Wendy. Wendy will be here Wednesday on Friday, April 4th and August 4th, and you guys will be back here on the 18th, I think, of August, which is not too far away too. So a lot of stuff going on in August, a lot of great events. And Joyce, as president, do you want to say anything?
No, come to all these events. It's going to be fun.
All right.
It's going to be awesome.
And as membership director, do you want to say anything, Sharon?
Ditto.
No, Sharon has really tried to make sure. Sharon's really tried to make sure that the membership stuff is easy. It's up online already for your renewal. It's very clear that if you don't have any information that you need to change, just make sure that you can just check a box. That means nothing needs to be looked at, but make sure you have to put your new phone numbers, and we always need your phone number and email. So make sure that that information is there. So, yes, but Randy, as our board member, needs to say something. Randy, yes.
Well, with Easter coming up and, high holidays, I want to make sure everyone whose loved ones are not in the book will be in the book. So if you can, send me any of your dates for any of your loved ones that have passed on, and I will make sure that they are in the memorial book this year.
And her email is in the e-blast and on the website. So.
Yeah, I'm the bowl for crying. Okay. I know everyone says chai, but it's not. It's for crying. I bowl for life.
So that is coming up. Any other board people or anybody else that wants to share anything coming up? Then we are going to wrap it up for tonight before we have our oneg together. But we want to thank, we have like 3 or 4 past presidents that you've brought out tonight, Joyce. Well, not just you brought it out, but we're blessed. We are blessed to have them here tonight. So thank you to all of our former leaders, not just our presidents, but also our board people and people who've helped the congregation over the years. So it's great to have everybody here. And we're going to finish up with some, I guess, some feelings of what it's all about. So we're having a reprise, right?
Yes, in Judaism, this is known as a reprise. If you're comfortable putting your arms around each other and standing up or getting closer in some way,
well, definitely stand up.
Feel
everybody
free.
Stand up.
If you're not, that's okay too.
Everybody at least standing. And this is what Deuteronomy is all about, doing it again, singing it again.
Hazori, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru, Hazori, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru, Hazorim, Bedima, Berina, Yiksoru. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
Please join us for Oneg to celebrate. We're going to do that in the other room. Kiddush and Hamotzi in the other room. And we want to thank the Steins for bringing some special treats tonight. Shabbat Shalom.